Ever find yourself staring at an abstract expressionist painting thinking, what in the world am I looking at?
Yeah, it's a common reaction.
It's bold, it's emotional, it's a movement that everyone talks about, but not always sure what it all means.
And that's exactly why we're taking this deep dive. We're going beyond just knowing the names and dates. We're going to unpack the psychology fueling those colors and bold strokes.
Love it. And our guide for this journey is an academic article. It's called The Psychology of American Abstract Expressionism from the International Journal of Art and Art History.
Oh, that's a good one. It really gets into the nitty-gritty.
Get ready to see familiar artists, Pollock, de Kooning, Rothko, in a whole new light.
Because to really appreciate abstract expressionism, you have to understand the world that birthed it. Imagine, right after World War II, anxieties are high, the old ways of thinking just aren't cutting it anymore.
No more serene landscapes or those perfectly posed portraits.
Nope, not a chance. Artists were craving a new visual language, something raw, something that reflected the human psyche, all that chaos and complexity.
And that's where those European avant-garde movements come into play, right? Like surrealism.
Exactly. They'd already started exploring the subconscious, and those ideas, they resonated deeply with American artists.
And all of this is going down in New York City. Talk about a melting pot of cultures and ideas.
Oh, absolutely. New York was like a powder keg of creativity at that time. Imagine smoky cafes, buzzing with intellectual debate, studios filled with that creative energy. It was electric.
I bet.
And within that scene, you had artists like Arshile Gorky, a true pioneer of abstract art, and David Alfaro Siqueiros, known for those politically charged murals. Both of them major contributors to this whole new movement.
It's amazing how certain cities at certain times just become these catalysts for artistic revolutions.
Absolutely. But it wasn't just the artists themselves. There were these powerful figures, art critics like Clement Greenberg and Harold Rosenberg. They became like champions for abstract expressionism.
They were the influencers of their day, shaping how people viewed this new art.
More than just tastemakers. They provided the intellectual framework, helped the world understand and appreciate this radical new art form. Greenberg was all about the all-over approach in painting. Yeah, where the entire canvas is given equal importance, no one area is more important. And then you have Rosenberg, he coined the term action painting.
Which perfectly captures the energy of Jackson Pollock, the epitome of this style. This is a guy who treated the canvas like a boxing ring, flinging, dripping, dancing with paint.
And it wasn't just for show. Pollock's work, it was deeply connected to those Freudian and Jungian ideas. Remember those theories about the unconscious mind? The hidden desires, anxieties bubbling beneath the surface?
Oh, yeah, it's like he's taking those theories and splashing them right onto the canvas.
Exactly. Take one, number 31, 1950, for example. It's this chaotic but strangely captivating web of lines and drips. If you think about the unconscious mind as a swirling storm of images and emotions, Pollock's painting becomes a visual representation of that inner world.
It's like we're seeing thought itself taking shape. And then there's Blue Poles, another iconic Pollock. You've got those bold, vertical blue lines cutting through the chaos. It's almost like pillars trying to hold it all together.
It's a visual metaphor, wouldn't you say? The tension between our conscious and unconscious selves?
Totally. And, you think about Pollock's personal struggles, the alcoholism, the depression. You really start to see how those demons fueled the raw energy in his art.
Yeah, it's especially evident in a painting like Pasiphae, which he created during a really rough period. You can almost feel the rawness, the search for meaning.
And then there's Mural from 1943. This was the moment he fully embraced action painting, surrendering to the chaos, and letting his subconscious take over.
It's incredible how one artwork can be such a window into an artist's soul. But abstract expressionism wasn't a one-man show. Let's move on to another giant of movement, Willem de Kooning. Now, he brought a different kind of psychological intensity to his work.
Yeah, Pollock's canvases, they're practically vibrating with energy. But then you look at de Kooning, and there's this different kind of intensity there. It's almost unsettling, especially the way he paints women.
You've hit on something there. It's true. De Kooning's figures, especially that woman series, they're not about traditional beauty at all. They're raw, almost aggressive, reflecting those emotionally charged relationships he had with women.
Yeah, it's like he's wrestling with these really deep emotions right there on the canvas, using those thick brushstrokes to express something almost primal.
Absolutely. And don't forget, Freud's theories about the unconscious mind, they were still pretty hot back then. de Kooning was grappling with those ideas, especially around desire and the tension between, well, our urges and what society expects.
So when we're looking at Woman Eye, with that intense stare and the way her body's almost fragmented, are we seeing those anxieties about women? Desire mixed with fear.
It's definitely a bold, unapologetic exploration of the psyche. And the way de Kooning uses color, that's fascinating too. It's not just decoration. Those vibrant, clashing hues just amplify the emotion even more.
Our research mentioned that de Kooning was really inspired by movement, like dancers, especially from when he was younger. It's almost like he's choreographing emotion on the canvas, the way he uses line and form to create a sense of rhythm.
Oh, that's a great point. Think about Extivation from 1950. The energy, the motion in those lines, those colors, it's almost like he's not just digging into the canvas, but into his own memories and emotions at the same time.
It's really amazing when you think about it. These abstract expressionists, they're speaking this shared artistic language, but they each bring something so unique to it, like they're capturing this whole range of human experience.
And talking about unique perspectives, let's shift gears now from the intensity of Pollock and de Kooning to someone totally different, Mark Rothko, and those incredible color fields.
Yeah, if Pollock and de Kooning are all about emotional turbulence, Rothko's like a quiet sanctuary. Those huge canvases of color, they just draw you in. It's almost a spiritual experience.
You've hit on something really important there. Rothko wasn't interested in the external world or even his own emotions in a literal sense. He was after something universal, a way to make you feel something purely through color and form.
It's funny you should say that. He's been quoted as saying he wanted people to feel his paintings, not just see them. What did he mean by that? How do you even translate emotion into something purely visual?
It's about creating an experience for the viewer that goes beyond words. Just imagine you're standing in front of 1961, rust and blue. You've got those two contrasting colors, the way the rust seems to vibrate against the blue. It creates this palpable tension.
It's so different from looking at something like, say, orange, red, yellow. That one makes you feel so joyful.
Yeah.
It's amazing how he does that with just color.
Rothko truly believed color had this primal, almost spiritual power over us, like it could affect us on this deep subconscious level. He wasn't just picking pretty colors, he was orchestrating those hues to create very specific emotions.
It's like those times when you're out in nature and you're completely overwhelmed by something beautiful, like a stunning sunset. Words just aren't enough. You're just left with this feeling of awe.
You're talking about the sublime, that feeling of being in the presence of something vast, something we can't fully comprehend. Rothko wanted his work to evoke that same feeling.
So when we stand in front of one of his paintings, it's not about trying to decipher some hidden meaning or like analyze the brush strokes. It's more about letting those colors just wash over you, whatever emotions they happen to stir up.
Exactly. There's no right or wrong way to experience Rothko. He gives you the canvas, the colors, the emotional space. It's up to you to bring your own feelings and interpretations to the experience.
It's amazing, this deep dive. It's really changed how I see abstract expressionism. I used to think it was all random splatters and just chaotic emotions. Now I see it's so much more.
It's really about these artists wrestling with these huge questions about the mind, our place in the world, even the very nature of existence. And they weren't painting realistic pictures to do it. They were creating these visual experiences that totally bypass our rational minds and speak straight to our emotions.
So the next time you find yourself in front of an abstract expressionist painting, don't get hung up on trying to get it.
Right. Just let yourself feel it. Let those colors wash over you. Let the shapes and textures spark something inside you. You never know what you might discover.
So many unique voices in this movement. Who else should we be checking out?
Well, if that raw energy of Pollock's really grabbed you, but you're looking for something even bolder visually, you got to check out Franz Klein.
Oh yeah, I know Klein.
It's like Pollock's energy distilled. Those same bold gestures, that immediacy, but he does it all in black and white.
Like he's stripping everything back to the essentials, leaving just pure movement and emotion.
Exactly. Klein's all about that direct impact, that visceral connection between, the artist's hand and the person looking at it.
It's powerful stuff.
But then Abstract Expressionism also had its spiritual side, artists like Clifford Still. Now he dug deep into color and form to express something, well, beyond the everyday.
His paintings are something else. Those jagged shapes, those intense, almost violent colors, it's kind of exhilarating and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, there's a definite rawness to Still's work, like he's tapping into something primal. He wasn't interested in pretty landscapes. He was trying to, crack open the earth, crack open the human psyche and show you the energy within.
You can really feel that in his work.
And then on the complete other side of the spectrum, you have Barnett Newman. Now, he took this whole idea of stripping things down to the bare minimum, really ran with it.
You're talking about those minimalist zip paintings, right? The ones with those huge fields of color and the thin lines cutting through them.
Exactly. They're deceptively simple. But they're so powerful. He's making us confront the void, the sheer immensity of existence.
It's true. When you stand in front of one, you can't help but feel small. In a good way, I think.
Right. It makes you think. And those zips, they're not just lines. They're like these portals to contemplation, making you think about your place in, well, everything.
It's amazing. We've got action, primal energy, existential contemplation, all in one movement.
And we can't forget Robert Motherwell. He tackled some heavy stuff in his work, grief, loss, even death.
His paintings just hit you right in the gut, don't they? All that raw emotion. They're not always easy to look at, but they stay with you.
He believed that art, it could help us deal with those difficult emotions, give shape to things we don't even have words for.
Makes you think about the power of art, that's for sure.
It really does. And finally, no conversation about abstract expressionism would be complete without Helen Frankenthaler. Talk about an innovator. She completely changed how artists used color.
Oh, her work is incredible. It's like stepping into a dream.
Frankenthaler, she pioneered the soak stain technique. Thinning out the paint and letting it soak into the canvas, it creates this incredible ethereal effect, like you're seeing emotions in their purest, most fluid state.
I used to find abstract expressionism kind of intimidating, all those abstract shapes and colors. But this deep dive, it's really opened my eyes.
It's more than just pretty pictures, right? These artists, they were grappling with some really big ideas, but they were also tapping into something universal, something we can all connect with on an emotional level.
Absolutely. So, to everyone listening,
Yeah.
the next time you encounter an abstract expressionist painting, don't get too caught up in trying to figure it all out. Just let yourself feel it. Let the colors, the textures, the energy of those brushstrokes, let it all wash over you and see where it takes you. You might be surprised by what you discover.
Couldn't have said it better myself.